A man, a spear in his hand, muscles tense, chasing an animal across the savannah. That is the picture on textbook covers, in films, in your imagination. The hunter, the hero, the one who brings meat back to the entire tribe. But for most of the nearly 300,000 years of our existence, that man often came home empty-handed. The person who truly fed the tribe day after day, without rest, without relying on luck, was almost certainly not him. It was the woman standing behind that picture, the one no one painted, the one who worked far more consistently, and far harder than he did. So why do we remember it wrong? Why, for centuries, have humans told themselves the story of the man, the hunter, while the evidence, preserved in the bones of long-dead women, tells a completely different story? The answer changes everything you thought you knew about who really built civilization. Imagine this. You are a woman living 20,000 years ago. You do not wake up because of an alarm clock. You wake up because of the children. One is strapped to your back, another clinging to your leg. The sun has just risen, and today's meal does not yet exist. There is no refrigerator, no pantry. It is growing somewhere out there underground, on branches, a few miles away. And you have to go find it, every day. You know which roots are edible and which fruits are poisonous. You know that one tree will bear seeds next month, while the bush by the stream is ripe today. You carry a digging stick, a piece of hide to wrap into a bag, and a child. You walk for hours. You bend down, dig, carry things home not once but hundreds of times. Then you return, and the second shift begins, cracking seeds, grinding tubers, removing husks, cooking, breastfeeding. Meanwhile, the men of the tribe go hunting, and most of the time they fail. This is not an exaggeration. In 1979, anthropologist Richard Lee of the University of Toronto published his classic research on the Kunga hunter-gatherer people of the Kalahari Desert. He found that women's gathering provided up to 2/3 of the group's dietary calories. 2/3. Meat, the celebrated food. The food associated with men made up only the rest. And here is the interesting part. That number was not an exception. Look at the Hadza of Tanzania, one of the few communities that still live by hunting and gathering today. Researchers found that Hadza men bring down large prey such as a giraffe on average about once a month. Once a month. If the entire tribe had depended only on those men, they would have starved long ago. What kept them alive were the women returning every day with tubers, fruits, and seeds, a boring, unglamorous, but reliable food source. The Hadza get nearly 70% of their calories from plants. Pause for a second and feel the imbalance. The man spends an entire day on a gamble. If he wins, there is glory. If he loses, he comes home empty-handed. The woman has no right to lose, because if she loses, the children go hungry. So she works every day, in every season, even when pregnant, even while breastfeeding. Her labor has no days off. And there is a story that shows ancient tribes understood this better than we might think. Richard Lee himself told it. To thank the Kung, he bought them the biggest, fattest ox he could find for an end-of-year feast. But instead of being thanked, he was mocked by the whole village. They called the ox a bag of bones. They joked that they would have to eat the horns because there was nothing else to eat. Confused, Lee asked a man named Tomaso why. And the answer became one of the most famous passages in anthropology. In essence, when a young man kills a lot of meat, he begins to think of himself as a chief and sees others as beneath him. We do not accept that. So we always tell him his meat is worthless to cool his head, to teach him humility. The tribe deliberately diminished the hunter's triumph, because they knew a truth we have forgotten. The big animal only comes now and then. What truly feeds everyone is the quiet, steady, nameless work, much of it done by women. So what happened? If women were always doing more of the work, why did we forget? The answer lies in the greatest turning point in human history, the agricultural revolution. Around 10,000 years ago, our ancestors stopped searching for food and began growing it. They settled down. They built villages. They stored supplies. We often tell this story as a great leap forward. And in one sense, it was. But for women, agriculture did not make work lighter. It did the opposite. Because once humans began growing grain, someone had to turn those hard seeds into edible food. Someone had to grind them, by hand, between two heavy stones called saddle querns. Hour after hour, day after day, and that work in almost every culture fell to women. The woman no longer walked miles to gather food, But now she knelt before a stone grinder, pushing back and forth, grinding grain by some estimates for up to 5 hours a day. Her labor did not disappear. It merely changed form. And it became heavier than ever. How do we know this is real, and not just guesswork? Because that woman left evidence behind, in her own skeleton. In 2017, bioarchaeologist Alison McIntosh of the University of Cambridge published a study in Science Advances. She and her colleagues did something no one had done before. They compared the bones of Neolithic women with the bones of living female athletes, including the champion rowing team from the University of Cambridge, women who trained twice a day and rowed an average of 120 kilometers per week. The results stunned the scientific world. The arm bones of Neolithic women, women who lived 7,000 years ago, were 11 to 16% stronger than those of modern champion rowers. And they were nearly 30% stronger than those of an average student. Think about that. A woman who died 7 millennia ago, who never went to a gym, never competed in a race, had arms stronger than an elite athlete of our time. The cause, according to researchers, was almost certainly thousands of years of grinding grain, tilling soil, and harvesting by hand. McIntosh called it a hidden history of women's work. Hidden because before her, scientists had always compared women's bones with men's bones. And because male bones respond more visibly to strain, women's labor had been systematically underestimated for centuries. And the echo reaches all the way to today. We are still doing the same thing. We still call the work of raising children, cooking, caring, and keeping everything running unimportant, unpaid work, nameless work. That quiet, steady, unglamorous labor, the very thing that has kept humans alive for 300,000 years, is still almost invisible in the way we measure value. So what if the thing we dismiss as chores is actually the foundation on which all civilization was built? What if the thing we value least is the very thing that has never stopped feeding us? Do not misunderstand. We have come a long way, and we have won real victories. No woman today has to kneel for 5 hours before a stone so her family can have bread. We have machines, medicine, and lifespans our ancestors could not have dreamed of. Our hands have been freed from the hardship that once carved itself into bone. But there is one thing we still have not given back. We have freed women's hands, but we still have not truly seen her. We have removed the physical burden, but kept the same ancient habit. The habit of glorifying the one who brings home a great animal once a month, while forgetting the one who quietly prepares food every single day. The story of the man the hunter is not wrong. It is simply incomplete. And the forgotten part of that story, the quieter, harder, more consistent part, is the very part that kept our species alive. The next time you imagine your ancestors, try redrawing the picture. Do not draw the man with the spear. Draw the woman with the digging stick, the child on her back, and arms stronger than a champion's. Because her bones are still there, beneath the earth. And for 7,000 years they have been trying to tell us the truth. We have only just begun to listen.